Hey everybody, we're here doing a painting stream. This is really cool. I'm very happy to be doing this. I'm so glad that so many people expressed interest in seeing a little relaxing painting stream. I'm very new to painting. I've just been painting since May, so I'm still learning a lot, but I'm soaking up stuff up like a sponge. And it's been really wonderful. I love painting. It's my way to relax. It's my way to escape. It's fun to do at the same time. And I like being able to be creative and have something and start something and finish something in one day. That's like a really cool thing. And so, again, pretty new to this, but I have absolutely fallen in love with it. And yeah, today we're going to paint a little cat. I'm just going to jump right into it. So, I'm going to paint a little cat. And so what I have right here, the surface that I'm painting on is a gessoed piece of panel that's cradled. When I say cradled, it means it's got like wood backing on the side, as you can see, like this. It's the kind of like frame that it's on, because otherwise it can be like an 1/8 inch piece of thin panel, which is cool too. But I just like the cradled panels, because then if you like, you could hang them on your wall just like that if you wanted. Just put a little like picture hook on the back and you're good to go. I have painted on canvas a few times, and I'm not a super huge fan of it, because like store-bought canvases that you get like right out of the package have like, they're too sensitive. There's too much give on them. Plus you have to like re-gesso them or use oil ground even more. I feel like they're not like ready to paint right out of the package. You still have to do some work to them so that the linen fibers don't just like soak up the paint and kind of like make it muddy or blurry. They're so much less precise, in my opinion. I mean, you know, once they're treated and you go through a couple other steps, you can get them really nice to paint on. But the gessoed art boards are ready to go. You just like, I do a little sketch on them, seal it with matte medium, which keeps the graphite or the pencil lead from wiping off when you're painting on it, or and when you're toning the canvas or toning the board. They're ready to go. You just put it on there, do a little sketch, seal with matte medium. It's dry in like 10 minutes. Then what I do is tone the canvas with a little ivory black and yellow ochre, which creates this kind of like grayish green color. Do that. Wipe it down with like, put the paint on there, wipe it down with a paper towel with some turpentine, and let that dry, and then it tones your canvas, as we can see here. Like, you can kind of see the way this where you're seeing this light is pretty clean. So if I had something super white like my skin to compare it to, you'd see that. Or here, let's do this apple mouse. See how I'm like, this is white, this is a little bit grayer, a grayish green. It like helps to differentiate once we're like painting. So you're not painting on pure white. You don't have that like that contrast that can kind of fool your eye into like adjusting or mixing colors incorrectly. As best as like I've observed, and from what I've learned, that's like kind of like the method to which to do that. So anyhow, let's begin by, so we have our little cat drawing here. Which is based on this photo. I'll put that up. Oh, look at that little kitty. Very cute. So that's the reference photo we're going after, that I just like sketched basically essentially like an outline with like major lines and details like around the face and the little nose, just kind of like the shapes, the frame, you know, the shapes that like make up the cat. So yeah, that's what we'll be working on. It's over. I have the picture over here on an iPod, so that's, or an iPad. So that's what I'll be working from. And then I have my palette over here, and we can pull the palette up. So this is not a live video. This is a picture, and hopefully I'll get another camera sooner or later to face the palette, so you can see like what a third camera to point at the palette, so you can see what I'm actually doing live. Like I can bring it up so you can see what I'm mixing and like how I'm like putting colors together. But on the palette, we have kind of going around the horn here. We've got ivory black, alizarin crimson, English red. I believe that is burnt umber. Yeah, burnt umber. Then we have ultramarine violet, ultramarine blue, emerald green, viridian, Naples yellow, yellow ochre, and lead white. Although it's a lead white alternative, it's not. There's no lead in this particular white. You can get lead whites with lead in them, which are toxic. But as toxic as just about anything else. It doesn't off-gas lead into the air. It's like if it burned or got atomized somehow. But if you've got burning lead paint, you've got a whole host of problems. But just to play it safe and to keep toxins to a minimum, I have a lead white alternative, and I may use titanium white, which is like a super bright white. I may use that at the very end to do like little like details, little reflections and highlights and stuff like that. Maybe we might bust that at the end. So yeah, let's get started. I keep saying let's get started, and then find another thing to talk about. So I have a glove on this hand because I'll be wiping my brush occasionally, and I try to keep. And I've noticed that like while I was working without a glove, like I would get done wiping my brush, like paint with this hand, right-handed, and I would just kind of like wipe my hand, and by the end, this hand, even though most of these paints, in fact all of these paints currently, are non-toxic, don't want paint just like getting on stuff, getting on this hand that I can then like touch and bring up to my mouth or whatever. So I keep a glove on this hand, paper towel in this hand. Ooh, and this is going to be the challenge while we're doing this, is not hitting that, not hitting this camera that's facing the canvas. So yeah, the way I like to start, I say I like to start, this is what I've learned, and that what a lot of, professional artists that I've like watched process videos and stuff like that do, and I think it is the, again, from my very, very novice estimation, is, you begin with the darkest values, your darkest tones and colors and values, and then work your way from there to the lightest. So I'm going to start right now with the tiniest bit of linseed oil. Linseed oil is the medium that work with oil paints, and I'm using Michael Harding oils, which are pretty nice. They're like, I switched from water mixable oils recently to premium traditional oil paints and Michael Harding, and they're so nice. It really is. It's just like you hope that it doesn't make a difference because they're expensive, and then you use them and you're like, crap, God, why do these have to work so well and be so nice to work with? It's like, oh yeah, they justify their price. But these are so good that like different paints require, like I haven't been using a lot of medium like linseed oil to thin out the paint to create more flow. I haven't been doing that because I like to work with paint like right out of the tube, personally. So I'm just adding like a little bit, the tiniest little bit of linseed oil. And so we're gonna go with kind of like the darkest things, like looking at this little cat, which I'll bring up again, looking at kind of the darkest points in this photo. It's a pretty light photo. There's not a lot of like deep, dark shadows or anything like that. The darkest stuff we're going to get is around the lash line and the eyes, from what I'm seeing. And the actual pupils themselves are pretty dark. And then I am probably not going to do this darkest shadow in between the legs down here because I'll leave the bottom unfinished. So we're not talking about a lot of super, super, super darks. So this will be a really quick section of just using like ivory black to do the lash line. So let me do that right now. Need a little bit more paint on the brush. And this is probably going to twitch, so I would have some kind of music on here, probably of some kind. But it's verboten. Don't want any DMCA strikes. We're keeping this real. Like here at the beginning, these are just like real thin marks. In fact, that brush, because this is a little bit smaller painting, I'm going to switch to a different brush. I'll give a little more precision. That's a Filbert that is a little beat up by now, so. Yeah, that's better. Get more of an edge. There we go. Work our way around the eye. And a little bit down here. I think I said this a minute ago, but I'll probably wait to do the pupils until the very end. Doing the eyes at the very end is, I mean, just how I do it. Feels right. Yeah, and looking at this photo again, like thinking about like the darkest spots that aren't the eyes, have a little bit in on the top of the head and some of the patterning and stuff, but it's not black. I mean, that's one of the cool things about painting, and it's one of the things that like I kind of love about it, is it really forces you to look at something that your brain kind of averages out when looking at like colors, and what actually like makes up a color, what makes up an image is so unbelievably fascinating. Because you look at this cat right here, and you see the shadow that's below, that's on the left side, or I guess from in the image on the left side of the cat. The cat's right side, but our looking left side. There's the shadow over there, and you think it's like, oh, that's kind of a grayish white, and it's true, it is. But when you look into it and you really look into those colors, there's pink in there, there's red in there, there's purple. If you kind of like squint, there are tons of colors that are in there, and they blend together. But your brain kind of averages it out. But when you look at when you look at a painting or a photo, when you look at a photo to paint it, you really have to think about and be conscious of like what is going on in all those places. And so that's how you kind of make a plan in your mind about the different values that'll be in the painting here. So we're kind of out of the darkest darks already, just doing that like lash line. So I'm going to start the first mixture here. And going up to like the next value is probably going to be in the, well, actually, there is one more dark spot. And I'm sorry, so far there's not been a lot of painting so far yet. No, that's what you came here for, is the painting. But so much of just like before you begin is the plan, is setting out your palette and thinking about values and thinking about the point, like the position of the light and like how it affects all these things and all the things that like all the calculations that your brain makes kind of unconsciously. Yeah, okay. So those are going to be our two little dark spots. This cat's so cute. It's got such a little cute little nose. That is a little pink and then like blends into the white at the top of its nose. Oh, that's not that. Okay, bring that back down. Set that over. Okay. So I'm going to take this up with a little bit
of the alizarin crimson to create with the black, which is going to give it a pretty dark purple, which exists in a few spots around here, and we'll see them. Looking in there, there's also, well, let's keep going with the plan as it is. It's so tempting to like want to jump around or find different places to play on when you're getting into a painting. It's tempting. It's so tempting to just like, you notice a detail and you want to put it in. That's like my biggest struggle, and has been my biggest struggle with like starting to paint, is like I immediately want to jump into details, and wrong, incorrect. But it's so tempting to like want to jump right there. And like, you know, a lot of people saw that like duck painting that I did a while back, which was like so much fun to do, and I like was really pleased with how it came out. You know, a lot of people said about that painting, like, oh man, it looks like a photograph, which is like such a compliment. Like I really appreciate like that. Appreciate like people complimenting it and like, you know, appreciating the work that went into it. It was a lot of time, and it was a lot of detail work. But I've been like leaning more toward, as I've been doing more painting, is more sort of impressionistic takes on animals and pets, because I've been doing a lot of animal and pet painting. And I just find that I like capturing the feel of a thing more than the accuracy of a thing. You know, it's like the difference between like a photograph is fact, but painting is truth, if that makes sense. So you have a photograph, it's like, that's so like accurate. But things can be accurate and bloodless, which is like my least favorite thing. I'd much rather something have like a life to it than be just like photorealistic, if that makes sense. Like that's the stuff that speaks to me, or the stuff that I like the most with the art that I like to look at, and my favorite pieces. So it's a vibe. I'm chasing the vibe. That's what I want to look for. And again, apologies if I'm silent during a lot of these things. It's a lot of thinking and readjusting and replanning. So, you know, looking at a lot of these patterns, it's like, oh, it's brown. Like you just think like, oh, the pattern's brown when you look at a cat. Looking at the photo, there's a lot of like purple highlights in there. There's some blue. There's some cool tones in there. And that is the kind of like really exciting stuff about that. So I'm going to bring in some cool tones. I'm grabbing a little bit of this ultramarine. I'm going to cool off the very top of the head a little bit, right around here. We're still keeping it pretty, the paint pretty thin. You notice those cool tones. Yeah. There's some coolness around the eyes as well. And I'm just painting in like the big shapes for right now. Patterns that I'm noticing. Cooling off the darkest points. Essentially blocking in what we're looking at. We notice like on this side of the cat from the photo, which I'll bring up again, is over here, this shadow, this darkest part over here is a lot cooler than this side of the cat. Lights obviously coming from this side of the cat. So stuff on here is going to be a little bit warmer. Stuff falls over here into shadow, is a little bit cooler. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Add a little English red to this to kind of find a medium point between the the more kind of purple, violet, that's the right word, the more purple tones in there and the blue tones, so we're finding kind of like the space between those things. And helping the highlights on the way. And again, so a lot of what I've learned from watching other painters and watching people work is for animals specifically, using a beat up brush. Like this brush is pretty trashed. This is a filbert brush. And it's just pretty trashed. I've been using it for a while, and I'm pretty rough with the brushes, but that is actually pretty useful for painting animals and fur because it leaves a unique mark. And that's pretty interesting to me. Like, it makes a more interesting brushstroke, a more interesting mark. It looks more like fur and hair that animals have, which is completely, unique and patterned and interesting. So it's a pretty beat up brush. But I like that. I like the kind of unevenness and the kind of trashy kind of mark it makes, because it's it just makes it a little more interesting. It's also where you kind of hold the brushes matters too. So like here, detail work, getting those little fine lines, and then choking back on the brush gives the more impressionistic, allows you a little bit to approach it a little bit different, get a more interesting, a little more free flowing mark, which is interesting to me. Okay. So let's move over to, and I'm jumping around a little bit where I see similar values and things. To the next, a little bit more brown value. And we'll go up the ears too. It's like a little more brownish red. Or reddish brown. That's probably how most people would say that. And again, these are very thin layers of paint. You know, there is some thickness up in here. Around the top of the head, you can kind of see it in there. But for the most part, pretty thin. Okay, here's what's interesting. So now we've been working a lot of reds, purple, mixing browns, blacks, blue. I'm going to introduce a little green here because there are green tones in some of these darker areas. Like, again, it's so fascinating when you look very closely at a photo or at a picture or at life. You just notice how many different colors are in a color or in a space or in a thing. So like here in this colored fur right here, there's a little green in there. So I'm using Viridian, which is a rich dark green with a nice tinting strength, if I'm remembering correctly, to bring in this coloration on this cheek. And also in various other places that I'll bring it, kind of pop it in here and there, where we have similar values. Yeah. This is where like the weird math comes in your head when you're like, okay, what's making this look the way it does? It's something so fascinating because it's something our brains just do automatically, recognizing shapes and patterns and things. Or averaging out shapes and patterns and things. Bend. Okay.
So yeah, let's go up in. Well, no, you know what? Not yet. Not yet. Can be very tempting. I'm gonna grab a little black, a little ivory black, and blue, and a little purple, or violet rather, to be quite accurate. And again, what I'm so funny. You came for a painting video, and what you're getting is a mixing video. It's so funny when you're here at the beginning stages. It just really is just like finding your colors, finding your mix. We're gonna get. Oh, okay, yeah. Now we're talking. We're looking for coverage right now to get into those dark spots. Okay. Cool. And there's the way you're kind of losing what's happening over here just because of the way the lights are set up, but I'll move stuff around when we get to the kind of like we get a little bit closer to the end. Sweet. Okay. Whoop. Sip of coffee. I wonder if people are taking bets how long it is before I just knock that fucking coffee over. Which is easy money. Take that bet. Okay. Grabbing a little more Viridian. I'm gonna start a different kind of mix over here. Viridian, English red, a little alizarin crimson. Cool that way down. But that is going to give us... This has a lot of colors in it, what I just mixed. But it's going to give us a nice brown for a lot of these kind of like mid-tone values. Like around here. Under the cheek. Use a little Naples yellow to cool it down a bit. Or to lighten it up a little bit, should I rather.
moving on up to slightly higher and higher values, and we're also using a little more paint now that we're in here, into kind of our middle tones. Yeah, right now, again, this is just from what I've learned, from what I've observed. We're just taking a look right now at values, at like where are the darkest and lightest points. And we're jumping around a little bit, but that's essentially what we're looking at right now. And we'll go in and finesse a lot of the finesse a couple of the other finer points. Finesse the finer points as we get to them. Ooh, too red. Okay. Let's back off of that quite a bit. It's interesting. You mix stuff up and then you kind of audition it on the canvas, and you can pretty much immediately tell when you're like, no! No, thank you. Neat. Okay. I hope people find this interesting. And I'm sorry, will go for periods without talking, but it is, there's a little patting your head, rubbing your stomach with like trying to talk through what you're doing, but also like do what you're doing, and the decisions that the calculations, decision you're making in your head about like what to do next is also, it's kind of difficult to talk through, but appreciate you sticking with it. And I hope this is fascinating, or at the very least relaxing to watch. Yeah, let me get. Okay, now I'm grabbing a little yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, and viridian. Make a couple more. On here that feel right. No. And you know what? I always do ears last. I don't know why. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in while we're doing it right now. There is a spot that I missed in terms of dark value, which is right there in the corner of the ear. Right in the right in the pocket, right in here. Yeah. Just creating that little area. You'll notice me sometimes squint. I'm looking over here at my reference photo. I'm kind of squinting because it like mashes down, like it kind of distills what you're looking at and kind of just gives you a better idea of like what exactly is like essential there. What you're looking at, like what color you're seeing in that area, in that shape, that's sort of essential. So if I'm looking over and squinting, that's why. I also need to remember to look across the room or to look at things far away for a while, because I'll tell you one thing, painting has ruined my eyes. Oh my gosh, my distance vision has gone to crap since I started doing this, because I'm just like basically looking at things a foot away for hours at a time. And I want to normally, like one of these pet paintings, one of the things I ever, paintings over here will take a few hours, and we don't have time for that. So I'm gonna kind of speed through, and we might not finish this one in this time that we have together, because I want to try to keep this to around an hour and a half. We're already at 40 minutes, and this is as far as we've gotten. So this may be a to be continued on another stream, but we'll see. So let me pull up that cat again. Oh, what a nice guy or girl. You know what? I think it's a girl, because I think only girl cats can be 3-colored. Correct me, Internet, if I'm wrong. Flash up the palette one more time. For no reason. Okay. Back to the grind. Mixing up a little more, sort of a greenish brown. To hit some of these points over here on this cat's face, which have a little more green in them. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this cat's face and this patterning. I kind of only scratched the surface, frankly. Alright, now we're gonna go. I'm gonna jump a little bit to this cat's mouth. And around the mouth, specifically. Right here under its little didn't get enough paint. There we go. It's creating some little mouth line there. Yeah, that's it. A little, it is purple and it is pink. It's both. And they all exist in there. It's about finding finding that balance. Okay. I'm also going to grab this again. This is kind of bothering me. Grabbing a very fine detail brush. I just want to hit one corner of this cat's mouth. Just that little line that goes up the nostril. All right. Down. Okay. I'll have to get some royalty-free music to put on while I do these things. Because they're probably just hearing me like heavy breathing. Okay. More violet. Just a little bit of black. Just the various bit. Woo! Again, this is going to be the challenge. Is doing that, working with that business. Okay. There's green in there. There definitely is. It's cooler in those ears. See, that's a little too dark. So we'll cool it up. See, now I lightened it up a little bit too much. So we'll take a step back and get it a little darker.
So, not going to do the ears last this time. Going to do them now. A nice warm gray. That's what I'm working with right now. Getting this. A nice warm gray. Turns to pink over here, so we'll save that. But this same warm gray exists in several other places over here. It's really a grayish purple. This is my favorite stage of painting right now, where we are currently, because it looks like dog shit. Like, it doesn't look anything like it will eventually look. And you always get to this stage where you're like filling in tones and filling in colors, and you're like, this cat looks like the damn Joker. But it comes together. It magically comes together somehow. It's a magic trick. It really is. I cannot describe it any other way than that. It is an absolute magic trick. How you start filling in tones, you filling in values and everything like this. And again, yeah, this cat is Joker pilled. It is looking very very silly right now. But again, as you start filling in the values, adding highlights, adding details, stuff like that, forming, making the shapes, painting and like really defining the shapes, it comes together somehow. It just does. It's crazy. But yeah, right now our cat is looking very, very serious. So just very severe. This little tap 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 that you're hearing is my palette over here. It's kind of uneven, so when I rest my hand on it to mix, pat 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 pat, that's the sound you're hearing. Yikes, gosh, this brush is really beat up. I need to maybe think about replacing it, actually, because it's getting a little bit too frayed, or at least using some kind of brush reshaper. I hope you're enjoying this. I love doing this, and it's interesting to kind of invite people into this process because normally it's me with headphones in, listening to music or a podcast or something, and just kind of zoning out. So to do this kind of as a presentation or as like a live video is interesting, and I've never done anything kind of like this. I did a music kind of walkthrough once through the Rooster Teeth Instagram. I kind of walked through making a synthwave track, but this is the first, which is all about sound. So like that one's a little bit easier for me to be quiet during because there's usually like I'm playing around with music or playing around with notes or sounds or stuff like that. So that's way different than this, which is a very, very quiet process. Easy to get kind of lost in your own space. Assessing. Okay, going back to the ears. So I'm still not super happy with what they're doing right now. Okay. About to go buck wild here. Mix up a crazy. Oh, that did not have enough paint on it. Neither did that. Let's try that again. Okay. There's what I wanted. There's the mark I wanted. Okay.
Okay, so I had that gray, kind of purplish gray mixture. Added a little yellow ochre to, I'm sorry, Naples yellow to it. And then backed off again with a little ultramarine blue, which is giving us this like kind of olivey green sort of color, which will start getting us a little bit closer to where we want to be with this cat's face. What time are we at right now? 1 hour and 2 minutes. Jeez Louise. Incredible stuff. Just goes, doesn't it? It just goes. Yeah, okay. Now we're getting into broad stroke stuff that's informing a lot of the, again, kind of jumping up in value. What we're seeing. Again, see this thing that I have here, that's where I've been wiping my brush. That used to be on my hand. So, again, none of these are toxic, but playing it safe. Plus, it makes it for way easier cleanup, because with water mixable oils, you can just wash with soap and water. It comes right off. These, got to use turpentine, and I don't really want that on my hands for too long. Looking at it from different angles, that's also important too. You kind of feel where things are. Okay. Because I feel like it, I think I'm going to jump down into the body down here. Just to give a little change of pace. I am kind of jumping around in terms of value, but I'm getting pretty close to where we want to be. So I'm not sweating it too bad. But right before I do that, right before. I'm going to do a little bit more in the ear area. Again, I'm just doing like interesting strokes right now to kind of break that up. And that'll be gone over with highlight later. Okay, so yes, jumping down a little bit into the body. I'm going to use a different brush. So I've been using this kind of like smaller number 1 filbert. But I'm going to jump up now And I'm gonna actually let that sit in a little turpentine. Or not sit in it. I'm gonna clean it off a bit, give it back a little bit more of its shape. Womp, hold over there. I'm gonna reach for a different brush right now, which is a different filbert. The Power Krill Creative Mark. But this one's also, you can see, I'll put it closer to the thing so you can see just how just wickedly beat up that brush is. I actually intentionally distressed this brush because it was, I think, one of the first ones I ever bought. So it was already a little distressed, so I was like, why not? And just like really beat the hell out of it. I took a knife, like a X-Acto blade, to like the bristles and stuff to get it really kind of grimy and beset upon. But it works great for fur and works great for hair, and so I'm going to use this on the body over here. So we're going to start with ultramarine blue and the violet. Come here, violet. Because this is what I'm predominantly seeing in this. Even a little more violet. White is such an interesting color. It's so wild. It's like, what is in it? It's everything. It's every color. But it, it's so... white is so interesting because it takes on so many different like temperatures and colors and stuff like that, and reflects back with the environment so much and plays into the environment so much. Like the environment has such an effect on it that it's just it's always an interesting prospect. Excuse me. I'm looking at it now. In the area that I want to paint, there's actually a little bit more red in there, honestly. So I'm going to take a little alizarin crimson. Yeah. That was the move. That was the move, Arena. Okay. Maybe to lighten that up a little bit. Okay, cool. Again, we're moving up in value, so we're taking a little bit more time to mix what we're going for. Ooh, way too purple. More blue. Lighten it up a little bit. Sheesh.
Again, sorry for falling silent. Mixing colors is a laborious mental exercise. So kind of fall off there a little bit, but I'm back, baby. Okay. New paper towel. That last one is Trash. Okay. Bigger brush, bigger strokes, dirtier strokes. I dig it. Even just a little more red. Mix in a little more blue to these kind of grayer areas on the face. I love this brush. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the first ones I got. It's beat up intentionally, but it makes such an interesting mark. And that is worth its weight in gold. Doesn't just look like even, flat, straight paint strokes, which is like, I mean, some stuff looks good like that, in that sort of style. But for this, for these animals, these sweet creatures, we're keeping it. Keeping it a little dirty. Dirtier mark. Grabbing some more violet. Really trying to find this. Find the edges of things that don't have edges. You know what I mean? The transitions from parts of the face or things that like lack a little bit of definition. Here, I'm adding a little more blue as we kind of come around the cat. Let me pull up the cat again. So as we kind of come around the cat here, you'll notice it gets more white up around this corner right here. The value, it goes it's a little lighter, but it's also a little bluer up here than right down here, which is a little more purple, a little more violet. here we go. As we're coming across, it gets the white gets more orange, or there's more of a when orange is white, that kind of transitions as we come over here. So adding a little bit more blue as we. Ooh, did I say a little more blue? Because that was a fuck ton of blue. As we come around the other side of this kit. Let's do more body work under the cat. Getting a little red in there. Something I've just started doing with a lot of my animal paintings is not finishing them at the bottom. Now, I've seen a couple of other artists do this, and I've started to adopt it because the way I've heard it described, and it perfectly nailed what I liked about it, was that an unfinished painting somewhere, typically I've been doing them at the bottom, like where the animal kind of like fades into the bottom of the painting, not finishing them there, adds an energy to the painting that it just adds an energy to the painting. It feels a little bit more raw, a little bit more spontaneous, especially for this kind of more impressionistic approach to like painting pet portraits and stuff like that. It feels a little bit more spontaneous, like it was, slapped onto the canvas, but not in an unthought about way, in a thought about way. But it just, I don't know, just it adds an energy. That's the best way I was sort of described. And yeah, I like that. I like that description of it. I'm also thinking as we're coming around this edge of this cat, we're gonna lose a little bit of the edge, and finding the balance between hard and soft edges, where there's a lot of contrast with the background, or where we're finding like points of focus where you're trying to draw the viewer's eye, is also something to think about. And again, it's stuff that our brain kind of does automatically. Or our eyes are led places without us thinking about it. And a lot of painters, a lot of artists, a lot of photographers draw, like, again, in a very thought about way, guide the viewer's eye to something with sort of unconscious clues in their work. And I never really thought about it until I started doing this. That it's absolutely, it's omnipresent in so much work, as that it, like, you're given an unconscious visual guide on how to look at something, and that's really fascinating. And you can achieve a lot of that by the application of hard and soft edges. So you see the cat over here will kind of like see these lines right here. They're very soft. They're not defined, and when we put in the background, that'll be even more the case. And I'll do a little bit more work there to kind of like show that off. But that'll kind of disappear as it kind of goes around. This side, which is a little bit brighter, will get a little bit more, like that'll be a harder edge on this side, a softer edge on this side. And again, once the background's in place, we'll feel that even more. So it'll be fun to play with as we're going along.
adding just the tiniest bit of Viridian to the shadow as they come around here, because I'm seeing a little bit of it in there. Not a ton, but some. So just, again, playing with those. All right, a little more now. Now I'm seeing a little more pink in some of these shadows. So I'm going to try to incorporate that into a little more of the mixture for the shadows. The touch of English red and alizarin crimson. In fact, more alizarin crimson than English red. English red's a tints things very powerfully. In fact, that's too dark. I've jumped up too much. Or I've jumped down again, which I did not want to do. It's okay. We'll lighten it up. Okay. Again, we don't want to lick it. We don't want to. I have a problem because sometimes I like want to blend strokes a little too much, and this is not what we're going for. It's not at all what we're going for. Like I like the look of paint brush strokes in the work. I like to see the brushwork. It's a painting. It's more of an impressionistic take on a painting. I like seeing brush strokes. I like seeing the work that's in there. And also, when you stand far away from it, again, your mind will turn it into the thing you're looking at. It will average it out. It will become this cat. And then as you walk closer to it, you inspect it. You're like, it's just paint. It's just paint arranged in a specific way that, like, transforms. Again, a magic trick. It's incredible. It's incredible stuff. But I like that. I like when you get up close, you see that, like, these are deliberate paint strokes that I can see and that have some definition to them. And that play. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? Again, sometimes I forget. Well, sometimes little things escape me, and I need to like jump back for a second. But we're still in the early stage. I know we've been going like an hour and a half, and we're still in the early stages. But some things still escape you, but it's okay, because it's not too late. I need to put in this little line for those little cats. Little. That little crease, the little nose crease. All right. Jumping back. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Now again, I'm jumping around. I went to the body because all that blank white space at the bottom was making me anxious. Just that this untouched area down here, as we had all this like detail and all this stuff like living in the cat's head, just having like nothing in the bottom was making me a little bit. It's putting me on edge. Maybe it was too for you too if you were watching this at home. You were like, get to the body. When are they going to get to the fireworks factory? Wow, I'm surprised it's been this. We've got an hour and a half in this thing, and that's the first Simpsons reference I've made. Jeez Louise. That's how in this I am, I guess, is you're getting... That's how long you've had to wait for a Simpsons reference. Sheesh. I'm slipping, folks. Okay, where do we want to move to next? We've got a lot of value work to do, a lot more value work to do in the face, or rather, kind of the mid-light tones now that we're looking for. Actually, I know exactly what we're going to do. Asked and answered. And that thing is as follows. Just hitting some of the areas that are a little highlighted. I wouldn't call them full highlights, but they are a little brighter here. Around that area. Around that area. And I need to bring this up a little bit. This cast shadow like right underneath that highlighted area that I just did, right here on the cat. This area is a little darker right there because it's right below its chin. So I need to better define that. Kind of left it blank, but that was not. I think that was an error in perception. Grab a few more of those
darker tones in here where they kind of fall. Cool. Okay. Now we're working our way up there. Great. Whew, I'll probably call this the 2-hour mark. And we'll get back into it at a later date. Or I may just finish this and you were along for most of the ride. Sorry, I keep looking over here like my camera's on my computer, but I'm right here. You were along for a lot of the ride. Okay. Let's I don't want to jump completely to the pinks of this body quite yet because we need, you know what? Okay, we're going to do. Take a sip of coffee. Oh, delicious. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Clean this out. We're going to do more of the nose. Even though it's pretty white, and that's like really close to a highlight color, a highlight area. It's very close to that. Still going to do it because I want to get a little bit more of like the blues that are in there, the like kind of greenish area that kind of comes up in here. So we'll that's where we'll play for right now. Again, I mentioned like green. It's wild how it's in there. You can see it. That's great. Okay, cool. Okay. I keep saying okay, because it's my way of it's a vocal tick. It's my way of reorienting myself somehow. Okay, so I'm gonna flash this cat back up here real quick. Boop. Oh, what a nice. It's big eyes. It's big eyes. It's amazing the cat's pupils are that big, considering that room seems to be pretty well lit. Whatever room it's in, but. Bump. All right. Now we're gonna get into some of the yellows.
So we'll grab some ochre, some maples. This brush is pretty dirty, so it's darkening it up a little bit. I don't want to clean it just yet, because I want it to give me those colors. Yep. I want it to give me those colors. And we step around here. There's so much going on in this cat's face. I'm gonna add a little. Golly, that was too much. Again, you can't see what I'm mixing over here, but I just added like the tiniest. I added the tiniest bit of emerald green, but it just. Good lord, it was like apple in a smoothie. Just everything tastes like apple now. Just absolutely took control of that little mixture that I was doing there. So we are going to scrap that. I would scrape it with my palette knife, but what's the point? I'll just move over here and do something else. But that absolutely took over. So no, I mean it turned it into. I wish you could see it. It turned it into Kelly green. It looks like a bar of Irish Spring, and there's nothing in this painting besides the eyes. You know what? We're going to save it for the eyes, because the eyes have a little bit of that around the edges. So you know what? Happy accident. It becomes the eye color now that I'll use later. So long, sucker. Okay. Let's get some... Take it again. Take two. Over here. For some of the yellow parts around the face. Even needs a little more brown. A little darker yellow. I say yellow. I'm kind of averaging a lot of these colors. When I say a lot of these colors, I mean probably the closest primary you're getting to that is what I mean. Keep getting alerts on my phone that's time to stand, and it's absolutely not wrong. It is time to stand. But can't do that quite yet. Working on some of the more... Again, we're getting closer to doing highlights, but this is really more of the, like, fleshier bits, or the more, like, just above midtones in this. And again, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to do this. So maybe a lot of the things I'm saying, a lot of vocabulary I'm using is totally wrong. But I'm just feeling it out. We're still learning. Ooh, no. Need actual paint on the brush there, dude. Yeah. Sorry, I've been kind of stingy with some of this paint, the paint I'm laying down. I need to get a little bit more bold with it. Just start actually laying down thicker strokes now that we're here in the providing this little cat with some life, some color. Some Viridian into the mix. Jesus. Lower, lower. Too low. Lower. There we go. What you're going to want to watch out for, at least for me, again, this is coming from my personal point of view and my perspective, is watching out for patterns in your brushstrokes. At least from what I've observed and from what I've been taught by other painters online, and it rings true to me, is that like if you start putting too many similar strokes next to each other, if you start trying to like paint the patterns that you see, your eyes immediately go to that. We're so good about finding patterns in things, and your eyes will focus on that, and it kind of breaks the spell. So at least for this kind of painting, for this more impressionistic take on things, it's nice to allude to the patterns that exist in nature. You kind of give the hint at it, or a sign pointing in that way, and your eyes and brain do the rest. Neat. Okay. Where are we living? Okay. Just going for coverage here. Okay, we're about to have to switch to a, but you know what? Not yet. Not yet. Let me do some other stuff before I switch brushes. Oh, it's much better when when my hat's blocking the light, as I am seeing right now. Fascinating. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Going more white and Naples yellow, which is very oily. This Michael Harding Naples yellow, I believe it's Michael Harding. I believe my Naples yellow is Michael Harding. It sure is. Very oily. Some different paints have different, like, oil suspensions, different levels of oil in it. Some come out of the tube and it's like paste, and some come out and it's just like tons of oil. And that has to do with the mixture, you know, the different mixtures and stuff, and the consistencies and the pigments that are being suspended in there. But, you know, you kind of even all that out with the tiniest bit of linseed oil, and you're in business. But it's wonderful. Sorry, all this is to say, Michael Harding's paints, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful paints. Gosh, we're coming up on 2 hours here. I might go a little longer. Would you guys watch a 3-hour stream of painting? I mean, these things take. I feel like I'm going blazing fast. And often, what I'll do when I paint is paint maybe half as far as this and walk away. Go do something else. Go for a bike ride or walk or play a video game. Just something else. Just step away. Take my mind off doing this. Come back to it later in the day or the next day and just have fresh eyes. Just have some fresh eyes on it. Renews your energy for doing it, wanting to finish it. But yeah, I find that really helps. I like completing things in one day. Like, that feels good to complete. Like, start and complete something in one day, and sometimes I do. But sometimes I walk away for a whole day and leave it to the next day. But I'd really love to have a. I'm going to get another camera so you can see what I'm doing over here in the palette. Because, like, yeah, it's where the magic happens, baby. That is too much of a highlight. There we go. I'm not entirely done yet, but I kind of want to speed this along. I just want just a little white definition on the end of that nose. So I paint the actual pink right here, which I'm going to get down to with a little bit more with this other filbert, or with this other smaller brush to do the little nose. Beep beep beep. I can do it. Just it gives me a border to work against. So I'm going to do that now. Hope you like watching like the top of my cap. I just feel like I've just been... Also, I have America's worst posture, so I will definitely need to be investing in a better chair if I intend to do this for long sessions. Ooh. A little too pink. A little too hot pink. So I'm going to add a little ultramarine violet to it. Cool that off. Cool it. Frankly, it could be cooled off even more than that. Going back into like more of a purple. Just in that little crease. Again, apologies that it's so quiet. But just thinking about all the moves, thinking about how I want to approach this nose. Alizarin Crimson, come here. Not that much. Jerk. Get a nice flat edge on that. Gosh, some of these paints, just I mean, even the tiniest bit, the tiniest bit, completely changes the, the entire, completely changes the mixture you're working on. It's truly wild. It's like, oh, I only thought I got a micron of that, and it's completely changed the mixture of stuff. Again, I'm still learning, so you know. Sorry about the jostling. Neat. Okay. Let's apply a little bit of this stuff to what we've been working on in the ears, because that is definitely in there. Pink. Some has a fleshier. Outer edge to it. Yeah. Okay. Trying to finish up. What do we got? 207. Sheesh. If you're still watching this, God love you. But as this kind of comes together here, I don't want to rush it, but at the same time, I want you to be able to do other stuff. If you do other stuff today, whenever you're watching this. Okay. Time to get a little crazy. Yeah.
much cooler on that side. Okay. Sorry, I know I've gone silent for a little bit. It's because now we're working in small moves. I feel like it's all small moves, but these are the... These are the smallest of moves here. The smallest of moves. Okay. Oh, what a nice kit. Okay. Not entirely done with highlighted stuff, but let's jump back up to the bigger brush, boyos. Okay. Wipe the brush. Sip of coffee. Cool. All right, I need to add, well, you know what, I think I still have enough for right now. The alternate lead white, which I absolutely love. It's so nice. And just, I mean the smallest amount, the smallest amount of English red. Just a little bit. Remember how Remember how that cat, the cat was looking like an hour ago? I was looking like the damn Joker. This is where the magic trick sort of. This is where you're starting to see. Okay, I do need more warm white. This is where the magic tricks sort of start. This is where it begins to sort of pay off, and you see what you've been working toward. And once we put in these eyes, mamma mia, that's the juice right there. And in fact, too much. I initially mixed too much red into the white value that I was working with there. But we want to keep that at bay for now. Okay. Now we're really stepping up to our lightest lights. And we're talking about like move. There we go. And it's so funny. Color works by comparison. Like what it's next to, what like it's relative. Color is so relative because here on this palette and here on this brush, I'm looking at this and it's like that's pink. That's pink as hell. And then when I put it here in context, it looks much more white next to the canvas right here, next to this like kind of purplish tone. Like it's very, very fascinating that way. Nice. Let's get that little bit of highlight in that cheek that comes down here. Draw my brush. Okay, so see what we're working with right there. Cool. All right. 218. I'm gonna try to land this plane at 2.5 hours. But of course, as you can see, we're a little bit further from
A little bit far away from done, but you know what? Sometimes it's close enough for country. Alright, let's put some of these white hairs in here. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's just do it. Cool. As it comes around there. Bam. Nice. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's go to the eyes, baby. Well, actually, before we do that, let me throw the brakes on that real quick. Before we do that, just yet, I'm gonna get a little more. A little more definition around the eye. I've kind of abandoned this area over here. Okay, that feels better. Throw that away. Let's do the eyes, shall we? The eyes have it. Okay. Let me reinforce some of the reinforce the lash line that we made earlier. Here, this is less black and more purple, kind of around the edges. Cool, cool. Again, we'll grab a little more black. We're zeroing in on these eyes.
little thin. So I want to reinforce that. Just give it a little extra stroke. And I went into the eye a little bit too much, but that's okay, because we're about to hit that with some green. Okay. Let's grab that Viridian. Because that's pretty damn close to the eye color that we have around here. Beautiful green-eyed cat. I love cats with green eyes. All right. Grab a little emerald. Got a little emerald in there. Bring it down. A little emerald, a little Naples yellow. Mm. 3:37. Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm getting lost in the sauce here. I'll try to. I mean, you stuck with it this far. God bless you. Warm whites. Need some more of that. Okay. It's funny. This is typically where it kind of gets the most, where I get the most quiet, is with these kind of detail moves around the eye.
just like a yellow streak in this cat's eye that's very beautiful. There's actually two of them. Goodness gracious, getting down to these fine motor skills stuff. So when you kind of got to brace your hand.
Beautiful. Okay. Let's get into those. Let's get into those pupils, huh? Huh? Let's do it. Which brush do I want for this? I want this one. Okay. I want my dirty old Filbert. I'm gonna try to squeeze in as many Kinks references as I can, also too, before this stream is done. Okay, those eyes are deceivingly black, but because there is the the cast from the environment, the reflections, they're all kind of different colors. They're very they're not quite black, they're almost emerald. Like deep, dark emerald. Deep, dark viridian. So we're going to treat them as such. Dirty old river, must you keep rolling? Wait, I don't want to get a DMCA strike. Hold on. No more Kinks. Thank you guys. If you're still watching this,
I mean, thank you so much. I love doing this, and I do painting. I love painting. And I also like making stuff for people to watch. So if that's you and you're still watching this, I really appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot. Okay. I realize we're coming up on it. 2:35. Okay. There's more work I would do to this. There's more stuff that I would finesse and detail, but and probably will after the stream. But I just wanted to get like this far through it, and show us our little cat here. I'm going to put in a few more little highlights, little details, but I'm going to hit again. This is the juice. This is the magic right here. When you put the little highlights, little details in the eyes, things just really transform. So cool. Just the slightest little reflection really changes it up. Yeah. Very neat. I'm gonna go in and do a little more fine tuning, finesse, like detail work with the whiskers, and probably a little bit more work in the eyes and stuff like that. But and the background, for God's sake, jeez Louise, in the background for goodness sake. But yeah, there's a little cat. I'm kind of making a little bit more like the patterns and stuff fit and feel good. But yeah, sweet kitty. Yeah, this has been my little painting stream. I'll hopefully do some more of this, and you can see the finished product when I've actually put the finished fine details on this painting. I'll post it on social media and stuff, probably on Twitter, which is right here at Mr. Andrew Rosas. Follow me there. Also on Instagram at smash_cut_2 is my Instagram. Put a little thing for that one up there in the next stream. But yeah, this has been a little cat painting.
And I really appreciate you guys watching. It means a lot. And if you stuck it out this far, it really means a lot. So, yeah, that was a little fun afternoon cat painting. And yeah, I'll see you guys on one of these streams later on. All right.